Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. We are kicking off the new year today with a very casual, kind of chatty get ready with me video. I have a couple of new makeup products here that I've accumulated over the last month or so. Some from the drugstore, some from Ulta. I have a high-end item that I found at a Marshall's before Christmas. So we're gonna try those things on together today and have a bit of a chat, a little bit about Christmas. I have some thoughts on where my channel is going in the coming year and some other random thoughts sprinkled in between as we apply this makeup look today. So should be a fun one. Before we get into all of that, if you are new here, very special welcome to you. Please consider subscribing to my channel and make sure that your notifications are turned on. And with that said, let's jump right into it. Okay, let's start with a bit of a primer today. We're gonna take my Flower Beauty priming whip. So I tried to pick some foundations that had some SPF in them. I don't think I have plans to go outside very much today. I have to go get my nails done this afternoon. And maybe as we get into this video, I'll give you guys a bit of an update on the Builder Gel nails, which I have now kind of a love-hate relationship with. I'll explain to you in a minute, but before we do that, let's just jump into foundation. So I'm gonna mix two foundations together. This is a combo I've been enjoying lately, mostly because the shade match of both of these alone is a little bit off, but when I combine them together, it actually makes a really good match. I have my Radiant Serum Foundation from L'Oreal and my Kosas Revealer Foundation. This one is in shade 40 Natural Buff. And then I have shade Olive 210 from Kosas. I'm gonna throw those on just with my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. And by the way, the Kosas has SPF 25 and the L'Oreal has SPF 50. I know that's not ideal. Like, I like to put on my SPF separately, get a good, thick, healthy layer of it on. Because sometimes if you don't put a ton of foundation on, I just don't feel like you get enough product or SPF on your face. If you're relying on your foundation as your SPF, it's probably not the best way to get sun protection. So I hope you guys had a great Christmas, a good holiday. Ours was so great, as you guys probably know, because I was so absent, which has kind of become a trend lately. We'll talk a little bit about that maybe later. Having a bit of an identity crisis on my makeup channel. I just am feeling like I need a new direction and I don't know what direction that is. And I don't know if it's here on YouTube or maybe outside of YouTube, or if I just need to change in a way the content that I'm creating, but then I have very mixed feelings about that. But I feel myself, I've become progressively more kind of burnt out of just buying makeup all the time and testing it out. It's kind of not doing it for me anymore. I'm feeling like I need to change and I don't know what that is. So I hate to throw that out there with a big question mark attached to it, but just know that maybe explains, without really explaining, why my channel has been so stagnant lately. Now let's jump over to concealer. We're gonna take my IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer today. I pulled this out recently. It's one of my more finicky concealers for a couple of reasons. First up, I don't have a perfect shade match. I have to mix two shades together, which is not that big of a deal. I actually like having multiple shades for a concealer. Have medium honey and then light nude here. We're gonna mix these two kind of equal parts and then use this initially on the perimeter of my face, and then I'll add just a little bit more of the lighter shade for the under eye area. This concealer, in my opinion, is best applied with your finger and kind of just tapped in. It's very thick. You do not need very much of this one or it will get kind of heavy and cakey, but it has great, great coverage. So speaking of Christmas, our Christmas was great. It was so nice to have everybody here. We got to see my son and his wife, or my daughter-in-law, I should say, on Christmas Day and spend some time with them. Oh, it was such a good Christmas. So Charlie, if you've watched my videos, I did mention that we were thinking about getting her a cat for Christmas. We ended up getting two cats. They're two sisters. We found them online from like a Facebook marketplace kind of local website from a family that had some kittens and preferred someone that would take the two together. So they're two sisters. Stay tuned till the very end of the video. My outtakes, I will introduce you to one of them, because she ran in here before I started officially filming and I have a little clip of her, but they're very adorable. I was nervous about the cats for a lot of reasons. We had kind of a rough experience with a sort of adopted cat for a couple of months a year ago. Anyways, I won't go into that because I kind of have already told that story, but I just don't know a ton about cats. We haven't yet had that type of an animal. We don't have a dog yet. We've always said that we would get one once we got grass in our new house, which we've now been in for like 7 or 8 years. Anyways, it just hasn't happened yet. I think we just haven't decided what kind to get, and we just have gotten busy and haven't committed to doing the dog thing. But Charlie has been begging for a cat for a long time, and we decided that we would get her one this Christmas, and they have turned out to be great so far. We picked them up from their previous owners a couple of days before Christmas, and my mom kind of took care of them for a couple of days, and then she brought them over on Christmas morning. Oh my gosh, the reaction was everything I was hoping it would be. So my mom had them in this like zipper kind of crate thing, and she unzipped it, and when they crawled out and she saw that 2 of them came out, she just looked so shocked, and just under her breath she whispers, "This is the best Christmas ever." And it was the cutest thing. They've been really fun. It is so fun to have 2 cats. They're super playful with each other. They haven't been too much trouble. I was really nervous that they were going to be too much to handle initially. When we picked them up and we dropped them off at my mom's house, they were just wild. Like once we got them to my mom's house, they were going crazy, chasing each other and playing with each other. One of them crawled up the stairs of my mom's house. She has these carpeted stairs, kind of this open like foyer, the carpeted stairs, and then there's a little ledge that has like some plants on it. That one of them went out, got stuck in the plants, and then jumped off basically, it was at 8 feet to the ground. And I was just thinking like, oh my gosh, these cats are gonna kill themselves or break something or do something horrible. So I was just nervous that they were gonna be way more wild than I was thinking they might be, but they've settled in nicely. They're very playful at times, but they play with each other, and it's so entertaining and cute to watch. And then they're occasionally cuddly and sweet, which is really fun. They like will wrestle each other, but then they also like lay together and cuddle with each other when they're sleeping, and it's so adorable. I'm just gonna take this powder. This is actually a Jordana powder. I don't even think this is a brand anymore. Do you guys know if they still sell Jordana anywhere? They took it out of my Walgreens years ago, and I'm just kind of assuming they don't sell this brand anymore. It's kind of too bad. They actually have had a moment there 6 years ago or so where they had some really good makeup products that were super affordable. Let's finish my brows. Next, I'm gonna just take my Sydney Grace Brow Powder Palette, and let's take care of these brows. I'm gonna add a little bit to the bottom and the top. I just mixed 2 of the lightest shades in here together. This is the soft brown one. Okay, now I'm gonna set those in place with my e.l.f. brow soap. Now we're gonna move on to the cheeks. I have this little palette right here that I found in a Marshall's about a week before Christmas time. They had some products from this line from Marshall's. Now I initially had an eyeshadow palette that was from this line. This is the Divine, oh, I forgot what the name of this release was, but this is the Divine Blush Bronze and Glow Trio. So there's a blush, a bronzer, and a highlighter in here. Now they also had the palette that I picked up from this line that I ended up decluttering because I just did not love it as much as I hoped that I would. But when there's something from Pat McGrath that's only $12.99 or $14.99, you know normally that's $55, you can't help but pick it up. So I ended up grabbing this thing. I have used it a few times already. I really love the bronzer and the blush. I like the highlighter. I've tried a few highlighters from Pat McGrath before, and I haven't loved them all. They tend to be a little bit on the iridescent side, which I don't typically like. This one's okay. It's not my favorite, but again, for $12, I just couldn't leave it there. So we're gonna use this today. I'm gonna take the bronzer first. Let's do that with my Angie Hot and Flashy powder or bronzer blush. This is the A507. Kind of pick that up in there. I do love a good face palette. There's just something about having all 3 products in one stop that is very quick and easy, especially when all the shades work for you. I do wish the highlighter in here was just a little bit more kind of champagne in tone, or even more like golden. I just tend to like those shades a little bit better on my skin tone, but that said, this one's a little bit light and icy and kind of pink, but I can get it to work for me. I just need to use the light hand. I'm just gonna take my foundation brush, the brush that I use for my foundation, kind of go around the edges. I just feel like I went a little heavy. Now let's add the blush. So the shade of these, by the way, the shade of the blush is Naked Peony, the Nude Honey is the bronzer, and then Opal Allura is the highlighter. So we're gonna take the blush shade right here. I do love the Pat McGrath blush formula. This shade's pretty bright and kind of more like a spring summer shade, but you certainly can use it anytime. So speaking of kind of my plans for this year, I'd say that very cautiously. Maybe I shouldn't say the word plans because I feel like there is a big question mark next to what to do with my channel this next year. I'm sure you guys have maybe noticed that I have really struggled to maintain like a good upload schedule. I don't quite know how to explain this, even to myself, let alone to you guys, but I've just felt this sort of shift in my thinking on what to do with my channel over the last, it's really been coming on since like 2020, but slowly, and especially this last year, I'm just finding myself progressively more burned out with just buying makeup and reviewing makeup, buying makeup and reviewing makeup. You get to a point where you feel like, okay, I've tried so much makeup, most of it's pretty good. What else is there to say about all the makeup? And so I start to feel kind of like a broken record, but I don't know what else to do with my channel. I mean, I'm a makeup reviewer, so I'm kind of in this weird place where I don't know what direction to go. I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't think that I really want to go into like vlogging. I don't want to do any like personal stuff really. The internet is just such a crazy place sometimes. I don't want to put my family's life on the internet. So I'm kind of stumped on what to do with my channel over this next year. So I don't even know what to say about that right now because I don't have any explanation yet. I've been waiting for some sort of like idea or solution to dawn on me. I've even considered like, does this mean that it's time for me to move on from YouTube and try something else? But I don't have an answer in that direction either. So things are kind of up in the air right now. So maybe this isn't the best time to bring it up because I don't have an answer for an review. But if you've been a little bit frustrated with my inconsistent schedule, which let's be honest guys, has always been quite inconsistent. I am by no means the best, most consistent and dedicated YouTuber out there. That's probably not why you watch my channel. But know that I'm aware of it. I'm trying to come up with some sort of like solution. I just don't know what it is yet. Okay, let's go with the highlighter right here. A little bit on both my brow bone and my cheek. I don't know if you guys are seeing like the iridescence of this. It has a strong pink shift to it. So it's much more of an obvious kind of artificial looking highlighter. The formula is really pretty. I just think this color on my skin tone, if I was either a little more like a cooler undertone or a little more fair, I think this color would be a little more suitable for me. Now let's move on to an eyeshadow palette that I'm very excited to try out today. It is from Pretty Smart. I raved about this brand really kind of on and off throughout the year. One of the most impressive brands, considering if you look at this brand in the drugstore, you won't even hardly see it. Like it's such a tiny, at least in my drugstore, their section is so tiny. They don't have a lot of things, but the handful of things that I've tried, I've been impressed with most of them. And their eyeshadow palette in particular, I thought was amazing. So I have the 103. Hang on, let me grab that one. So here's the 103. This is the one that I raved about in my year-end eyeshadow video a couple of days ago. And then this is the one I just picked up, which is the 102. So the 103 you can see is a little bit warmer, kind of more neutral. This one has some more kind of purpley pink tones in it. Very pretty. I'll insert a close-up of this one for you guys along with a few swatches. I hope the quality of this one is as good as this one because I am so impressed with the quality of these mattes and the shimmer in here. They're so good. Let's start off in this mid-tone kind of pink shade right here. Seems this looks going to be much more cool toned, which I've been coming around to cool tones recently, as long as they're not too gray. By the way, this brush that I'm using is just an old Royal & Lang brush. I love this brush. I don't use the whole set that this came with. I got this early on in my YouTube channel days. This I think was one of the very first PR packages or companies that ever sent me anything, was this Royal & Lang brush brand. And this is one of the few things from that set that I still reach for regularly. It's such a good basic blending brush. Now let's jump over to, I'm gonna take a tiny bit of this, actually this shade, let's use this brush. This is kind of a medium blending brush. We're gonna take a little bit of this kind of purpley gray Don't want to use a lot of this because I usually don't like gray tone shades on me. I'm worried this one's going to be too ashy. But we're going to put just a tiny bit of it right in my socket, just on the outer half of my lid. Okay, we're going to use that shade on my lower lash line. For that, let's take this tiny blending brush right here. This is the A504. The one I just used before that is the A502, both from the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy set. Take a little bit of that same shade and run it under the outer half of my lower lash line. With that same brush, I'm going to take that darkest purple shade there. I'm going to start with this shade just right at the lash line and then slowly drag it up into this outer corner. That's like Natasha Denona level depth we're getting right there. Okay, I mentioned that I'd give you guys an update on my nails. So these are a builder gel nail. I think they're also called luminary. I think it depends on where you get them done. But I talked about these in a favorites video a couple of months ago. I do love them. They're super sturdy. It basically is like they paint on a layer on top of your natural nail and then cure it and then put the gel polish on top, but it makes your nail polish last forever. I've never had a chip in these, with the exception of one. My fingernail fell off the other day, but I'll explain why in a minute. It's not because of the nails. But my issue with them, I now have a bit of a regret to share with you. Every time I go back to get them filled and done, it seems to just get more and more expensive. I never do anything like art on them. I just do a basic one color fill. And when my first fill that I got done was only $30. And I thought, hey, $30 with a tip. I could totally afford to do that once a month. Like, that's definitely within my budget. Then the next time I went back, it was $40 plus the tip. And then the next time I went back, it was $45. And then the last time I got them done, it was $50, and that was before a tip. That is so expensive. I cannot afford $60 a month. And by the way, this is only 3 weeks. I have to go back because this nail right here came off, but that was because I jammed my finger in a drawer. That was actually a couple of months ago. So when she put these on, I knew there was a chance that this nail was going to not really fall off, but kind of like, it kind of is like a little bit dead underneath. So I think that obviously is what caused the nail to fall off. That was just 3 weeks ago that I got them done. I certainly cannot afford to do $50, $60 every 3 weeks. So I'm a little bit annoyed. Okay, that totally made me think of the line. Any Napoleon Dynamite fans out there, just getting kind of TO'd. That's kind of how I'm feeling. And I feel bad that I'm being such a like penny pincher and a Scrooge about it, because it takes a good hour to get your nails done. And if you think about, okay, so you're paying the person like $50 for an hour's worth of work, and then they obviously have overhead on top of that. Like, it makes me feel bad that I'm trying to like get my $5, $10, $15 off of that price, but it just feels a little bit, scam's probably a strong word, but it just seems interesting that my first fill was only $30, and then they give you a range, like it's gonna be between $30 and $50. I just wonder if it's kind of part of the business model, is they get you in at $30 thinking like, okay, I can do that, and then it gets a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and by the time you go back your 4th or 5th month, you're like, okay, this is getting out of hand. But for me to change anything, I have to get them removed, and that is going to be expensive, and then I'll have nothing to show for it. And so it's almost like a model where you're like, once you're in, you're kind of stuck. That's how I'm feeling. Anyways, if any of you went and got the Luminary gel or the Builder gel after my recommendation, or finding yourself in a similar spot, somewhat resentful, I'm sorry. Let's jump over to this light shimmer shade. This actually looks just like the shade inside this palette, maybe a little bit more pink in tone. Yeah, they're almost identical. This one just has a little bit more pink. That's okay though. I do love this shimmer shade in this original palette. So we'll try out the pinker version of it. We're gonna use it on a kind of a flatter blending brush. This is the Sigma E25. This is one of those brushes that could do just about anything. It can apply, it can blend. It's not too big or too small. You can kind of like get it to do whatever you want. Okay, eyeshadow is done. I'm just gonna go back to my brush that I used for my foundation and kind of clean up under my outer corner just a little bit. Let's add a little bit of liner, and then I have a new mascara that we're gonna try out together. We're just gonna do a simple little baby wing here, just at the outer corner. Okay, and now we're gonna try out a mascara. So I went to pick up a new version of the Sky High mascara from Maybelline. Quick little kind of side note. The last time I repurchased the Sky High mascara, I got the Cosmic Black version. I still like it, but I don't feel like this one holds up or wears as well as the original pink bottle, not the waterproof, just the regular original one. So I went back to buy one of those yesterday. They were out of stock except for this little 2-pack, which comes with a primer and the original mascara. So I thought, what the heck, let's try it out with a primer today. So the primer comes in soft black, and then the mascara comes in blackest black. I've never been one for primers. In fact, I think I've maybe only ever tried one mascara primer, and that may have even just been like a sample. I always just figure if you like the mascara, just use 2 coats. Why use a primer and then a mascara? But we're gonna try this one out today. I wonder what the difference is. I mean, this one is just slightly less dark than the other one, but I'm assuming it does something for your lashes. It does say, pro tip, can be worn alone for a natural look. Interesting. It says use before mascara. Allow primer to dry before putting mascara on top. So there we have it. Actually, I feel like it's pretty dark. My lashes look pretty good. I don't know that this seems all that different than just the normal Sky High mascara. I don't know that I'm gonna do 2 coats on my bottom lashes. I don't like really heavy bottom lash mascara. I barely like my bottom lashes to be coated. I just feel like it looks a little too Bambi for my liking. I kind of like a more natural bottom lash. This one's not bad, but it just is a little bit more finicky where you get your lashes kind of clustered together. I like a lot of separation in my lashes, so I generally try to double up the coats while the mascara is still somewhat wet. Normally the Sky High mascara is not a clumpy mascara, so I'm not sure I love this method of letting the primer dry all the way and then going in with the additional mascara layer. But I'll keep playing with it and let you guys know. I actually like this okay by itself, so I'm curious to try these like alternatively, like this alone and then this alone, and see how different they are, because I don't think they seemed all that different. Now let's finish off with the lips. So I have one new thing to share with you guys, or I guess 3. I picked up 3 new shades of the About Face lip liners. I actually really like them all for different reasons. I think these are now my like 7th, 8th, and 9th shade of these, maybe 8th, 9th, and 10th. So I'm gonna give them a little swatch for you. First off is this lightest shade, Baby Be Good, which is a really beautiful light nude. This is a perfect light nude. And then I also got the shade Little Little, which is a little bit deeper than this one. This is probably my favorite of the 3. It's just a little bit darker, a little bit more mauve-y than, what was this one called again? Baby Be Good. It's such a weird name. And then last I picked up this shade, which is Smoked. I knew this one was probably gonna be way too dark for me, but sometimes I like using just a little bit of this and then smudge it out really quickly just for a really nice kind of overline shadow detail. It's kind of like a dark, almost chocolatey plum brown. I definitely have to be careful with how I use this one. It's probably not super suitable for my skin tone, but if you like that kind of overline shadowy effect, you can use a shade like this just in like a small amount, and then just make sure you blend it or smudge it out with your finger or a brush. Why don't we kind of do a bit of both today? We're gonna start with the shade in the middle, the Little Little. I'm gonna apply that kind of all over, and then we're gonna add just a little bit of an overline with this one, just to kind of show you guys what I typically do with a shade like that. So these lip liners are very long wearing. They are super creamy, but they dry very quickly. So I like to kind of start on my lower lip line. I don't fill them all the way in. I'll fill in just a little bit, and then I take my finger and kind of smudge and blend before it dries all the way, and then do the same thing on the top. By the way, these liners you can buy online at Ulta. I think they're $12 original price, and they go on sale very often. So I bought these on sale during the holidays. They were on sale a few different times. Okay, we're gonna let that kind of set, and then I'm gonna go in with a tiny bit of Smoked. You could also do this with a brush. It probably would work better with a brush. I just am lazy and like to use my finger because one less thing to reach for. We're gonna let that set, and then we're going to put a little bit of gloss on top. Let's see, I thought I would try this. This is from Laneige. This is the Candy Cane Lip Glowy Balm. I bought this during the holidays. I actually bought this for the mini inside of it because I wanted to gift it to someone. And they were out of stock of the mini lip sleeping mask set on its own. So I ended up picking up this one because I do love their Lip Glowy Balm. However, the original one I have, the gummy bear one, this one feels a little bit thicker and more like sturdy and moisturizing than this one, which feels a little bit more slippery, a little bit lighter. It doesn't seem to like sink in quite as well as the gummy bear version, but it does smell and taste amazing. If you like candy canes, oh, this is so delightfully Christmassy. Okay, and that is it, you guys. This is the completed makeup look today. This one was fun. I'm very impressed with the eyeshadow palette. By the way, while I was in the store picking up the eyeshadow palette, I did also pick up one of their powder. No, that's not it. This, the packaging is all the same. This, their powder blush. But because I tried out the Pat McGrath today, we'll try this out another time. But love the eyeshadow palette. I still think I like the color story of the original one better. But if you like your cool tones that lean a little bit purpley and kind of smoky, this is beautiful. Not too purple, by the way. I'm very picky about that. Other than that, I'll keep you posted on the mascara. It's going to take me a minute with the primer to figure out if I don't think I love the primer. I would just recommend getting the original one, but I'll keep playing with it and let you guys know if my thoughts change. I'll keep you posted on the lip liners. You know I love those. I love the About Face lip liners. I've loved them for, I think, over a year now, and these are just 3 more shades to add to my collection, which you can never have too many lip liners in my opinion. But that's pretty much it for today. I hope that you guys had a great holiday season. Stay tuned. I will let you know what's coming up on my channel. I'll probably continue to do makeup content here. I'm not quite sure if I want to really switch things up yet, but just so you know what I'm thinking about right now. I will try my best to kind of start the new year fresh and get back into the swing of things. So if that sounds good to you, let that be a reminder to subscribe before you leave. But that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. So here she is. You basically have 2 of her. Her sister looks almost identical to her. I can only tell them apart when they're together. She's a very sweet girl. Go play with your sister? Yes. Yes.